Hi, Amber.
Hi, Megan.
Welcome to Bad Movies Rock.
Thank you, Megan. Megan, welcome to Bad Movies Rock, where we don't care what the critics have to say about the movies we want to watch. In fact, actually, we do care. We care if they said, no, don't watch this in aggregate. And they say, no, this is a bad movie. Don't you see this in aggregate. Of course, we're not talking about individual critics. We're talking about what Rotten Tomatoes and Metacritic say the critics said on the whole. And we say, no, we won't listen to you. You say this movie failed. We say, yeah, maybe, but probably not for the reasons you said. Or we say, oh, no, this movie's beautiful. Everyone should watch it. Dust this baby off. Put it in your eyeballs. See how you feel about it.
Yeah, that's exactly what we say every single time, Amber. Mm-hmm.
Welcome to Bad Movies Rock. Megan?
Mm-hmm.
On a very related note, I met with a trainer the other day.
Okay. What kind of trainer, Amber?
A dog trainer, because my dog has some behavioral issues.
What? Muppet?
Yeah, no, sweet.
No, that doesn't seem correct.
Sweet little 13-pound, shaggy, bearded, brown dynamo of dog hatred
Yes.
and animosity. Well, I can only see like a third of your face.
Okay,
I'm
sorry.
just looking at.
Sorry, let me... I have it so that... Okay. Is that better? That's better.
I mean, I could see like half of one of your eyes. It's half of your face is one thing, but half of one of your eyes was just off-putting.
Too much. Mm-hmm. Okay, fair.
I'm terribly sorry to interrupt myself, to interrupt you, and to interrupt the fair listener's listening experience. I continue. My dog has dog aggression issues. He's very small. He's very angry. He's very fearful. He is what you might call an insecure dominant dog.
Oh.
He's both very insecure, but pretty sure he should be in charge, but not sure that he should be in charge. It's an unfortunate powder keggy combination of explosive rage and then running and then more explosive rage.
Right. All within a dog that, could be snapped in half pretty much by any other dog.
That's really bad. I mean, I am not worried he's going to hurt another dog. I am worried another dog is going to be like, the fuck you say? And then, yes, snap him in half. And that's a very real possibility because one of the dogs we live with, he's fine with. The other one, as I mentioned in earlier podcasts, wants to murder.
Yes.
This is a very long way of saying, I finally met with a dog trainer. They're very expensive. And this one insists on... It's a $200 90-minute training evaluation. And I thought, okay. So he's going to evaluate Muppet, see what his issues are, ask me some questions, get a feel for what he does, and then kind of evaluate what the best training options will be and whether or not Muppet will respond to certain things. I mean, training, evaluation. That, I feel like, was a reasonable expectation.
Sure. Especially with a dog that has kind of these issues that are, relatively important issues. It's not like you want him to sit or, lay down. You want him to, not die.
Yeah, no, this is not obedience training. This is not trick training. This is behavioral modification.
Yes.
The thing about me is I actually understand a lot of it on paper in the same way that I can read a book about how cars work, but then I don't think I can fix a car unless somebody shows me. I need to see it. Right. I need to be told what to do. It's not all going to be in the book, and the book isn't entirely going to make sense. I'm not going to read freaking Grey's Anatomy and then just start cutting on people. That's not how you do, I'm pretty sure.
Don't. Yes. Mm-hmm.
So I understand all of the concepts. I really need somebody to look at me, look at him, and tell me what to do. Mm-hmm. No ego. I know I'm fucking up. What this 90 minutes was neither training nor evaluation. He asked me no questions about my dog and just spent 90 minutes explaining dog behavior to me. Again, well, fine if I had no concept of it.
I guess.
But I clearly did. None of this was new information, and it was 90 minutes of him psychologically preparing potential clients for what to expect moving forward if they had no clue what the field of dog behavior was, no idea how dog brains worked, and no idea how behavioral training worked in any way. There were handouts to explain dog brain and human brain and instinct versus, front brain stuff. And it was, I'm sure, very useful to somebody who had not looked into these things, just got a cute dog, and the dog started exploding. as I stood there realizing no training or evaluation was going to happen, and he was getting to the end of his spiel, I was like, oh, the 90 minutes is up, and I have just been talked at for a while. He's a perfectly nice person, and I agree with all of these things that he's saying, but this is not actively helping me. I finally started describing my dog.
Oh, I see. You got to the dog part about 89 minutes in. And I will say, just to interrupt one moment, is I too have gone to a dog trainer recently. It was a group class. I actually very much enjoyed it. And the trainer, he gave a similar spiel kind of to catch everybody in the class up. And it took, I don't know, 10 minutes of the beginning of class to kind of like, hey, this is how you should think about like how your dog's perceiving things and how you're perceiving things. Okay, now that we kind of have that as a basis, we'll touch upon it as we go along with everything that we do. But I'm not going to lecture to you and your dogs for an hour because all we have is an hour. So let's just like set this up and then we'll ask questions as we go along. Oh boy. Okay, here's the thing. Amber's holding up a very educational document of a human brain and a dog brain with like arrows and things. It's just 2 circles, by the way, cut in half. And like
and animal instinct is on one side and thinking/domestication is on the other side.
Yeah.
Oh, I really actually enjoyed this one too. It's just a scale.
What? Okay.
From 0 to 10 with 5 in the middle.
Yes, okay.
And what we want the dog to be 0 to 5. But if he gets from 5 to 10...
Oh my goodness. I mean, from what you're showing me, this is the stuff that my trainer told me. But here's the thing about teaching something. Like, you can't just lecture at somebody for 2 hours. Oh boy. We're getting more and more of these... got a comfort zone and we got a fear zone, a learning zone.
Yeah, you can't learn in the fear zone, Megan.
Well, yeah,
Yeah. Sorry, I keep interrupting with my good $200 worth of handouts.
Yeah, I mean, you better show those off. That was $200 worth of handouts there. But in any case, if you're teaching somebody something, like you want to give them like the basics, and then as you like start with learning and say an experiment or in this case, dog training, you want to reinforce those basics. Like obviously with dog training, most of the training is training the human people, right? To interact with their dogs in a way that their dogs understand. But like, you can't all lecture and no demonstration. You've got to demonstrate to reinforce the things that you're talking about. Anyway, Amber, so you're saying 89 minutes in, you got to actually talk about your dogs?
Yeah, this wasn't attempting to actually teach me anything. It was all intended to mentally prepare me for what teaching me something would be. So it was $200 of... Here's why you're not allowed to get mad at me when we do progress with training because I tell you you're weak. Because I'm telling you that you are presenting weak body language, not that you as a person are weak. Or when I criticize the way you do something, it is all for the purpose in serving this. Like, okay, you don't need to manage my feelings, you don't need to manage my expectations, and you don't need to teach me how this is going to go. What I need is, when Muppet do this, I don't know what to do. Please tell me how to serve my dog better, because I'm clearly doing something wrong. Mm-hmm. And I say this in less, Amber being an asshole way, and it did not stop anything from happening. It was all, it was like he could not stop the spiel. I would have watched a 90-minute video while doing something else. I would have, it was basically an entry fee and then a lecture on don't be a dick when we start training you.
Yeah, this sounds like a really, let me just focus, Amber, on the trainer here, because that's my primary concern is this person's time and effort. I feel like the trainer themselves is wasting their time on you.
I don't disagree.
And with everybody else, because like you said, if they're not interacting, if they're not asking questions, if they're not listening, then you might as well have a video that you show rather than giving this spiel 100 times. Do it once. Have it like yeah, you have to watch this video before we meet with you.
Yep, before you're allowed to access any of your services, watch this video. In this instance, it's before you're allowed to access any of our services, pay us $200, drive an hour, and with your dog, and then stand here for 90 minutes while I show you handouts and talk to you. So we get to the end of this, and I said, okay, cool. I guess this is it. So my dog is aggressive to other dogs when they're sleeping. And that was like, I said, okay, so I have a 9-year-old dog, and he's, pretty aggressive and pretty reactive. You feel like, he'll probably respond to this. He's like, oh, yeah, you just have to be really consistent. And it's like, okay. So he's lived with dogs. He currently lives with dogs. Oh, he lives with dogs. Yeah, no, he does. One of them he's fine with. One of him he attacks in his sleep.
You didn't ask if the dog lived with other dogs?
He did not ask if the dog lived with other dogs, no.
And he's subject. So, okay, no, please go on. Sorry, I've got more questions, but go on.
It's inconsequential because when I said he attacks them in their sleep, that is the first moment he snapped out of his spiel. Yeah. He literally was taken physically aback.
Yeah.
And got an "oh" look on his face as he said the word "oh," and then immediately started to try and moderate my expectations moving forward. Like, well, you can't change the dog personality. That he's always going to be the dog that he is. What we can try and do is try and mitigate some of the reactivity. It's like, okay, so you didn't really evaluate the situation really upfront when you spent 90 minutes explaining things to me that I already understand. What you were trying to tell me is that, hey, when you have a really annoying coworker, they act like they're your supervisor when in reality they're kind of not even in your department, and technically they're lower than you on, the hierarchy, and they're just kind of like snipping at you all the time and being a real dick, and it's just really frustrating.
Yeah.
Now imagine, in my case, that coworker follows you home, waits for you to fall asleep, breaks into your house, and then stands over you with a knife until you wake up and then stabs you in the leg. That's
my God.
My deal. That's a situation I need HR to help me with right now. It's a little bit higher than your normal level. What dog attacks another dog in their sleep?
Yeah, it's not ideal, Amber.
No. And that for me was kind of the main breakdown of this training evaluation, is that I was really, really hoping for an authentic, hey, so here's what my situation is. Do you think your tools can help me? And instead I got, here's the way you should think about this. And here's what you need to know. And here's the tools that we use. Like, that's cool. That's great. You still don't know what you're dealing with. You're acting like this is just a dog. Nah, this is a little time bomb.
Yeah.
In cute packaging.
Yeah, well, Amber, at least you didn't, bring Muppet with you so that, he also had to listen to an 1.5 hour long lecture.
He stood in that unfamiliar space. It smelled of other dogs with a complete stranger after he doesn't like the car, so it's a very stressful ride for him, for 90 minutes and shook the entire time.
So you're saying you brought your dog with you?
I was required to bring my dog, yes.
And he never even, talked about the dog that you brought with you.
He did. He was like, oh, there's an insecure dominant. And, he's very expressive, and he's really avoidant. And I'm like, yep.
Yeah.
He is standing behind me and trebling. Yeah. So that's all accurate stuff. Look at you. Good job.
Well, and just knowing Muppet, you usually give him a mild sedative or whatever it is to help his tum-tum during travels. So you probably couldn't give that to him.
No, I wanted it to be a clean, clear-headed evaluation.
I mean, in retrospect, you could have.
Absolutely 100%. And it actually probably would have made it a better experience for him.
Yeah.
So, I am having a little trouble with some sunk cost fallacy because, of course, I've paid this entry fee. And I agree with everything he said, but I'm also I have now purchased access to a product that I have yet to have the ability to evaluate. I know what he wants from me, but I don't yet know what he will provide me with. I have not seen him in action as a trainer yet.
Yeah.
After 90 minutes and $200.
Well, at least you're able to get that appointment right away and not
It took 2 months, actually, to get in.
Well, I can't actually think of a silver lining, Amber. I've been trying.
Yeah, this went poorly. Well, this
Speaking of going
directly.
Yeah, speaking of going poorly, Masters of the Universe.
Masters of the Universe. Let's see. Is there a very good way of porting this across? Let's see. No dogs in this movie. No training in this movie. It is ultimately disappointing.
Sure.
So that I guess there's that. They both disappointed me.
Yeah. Although I would say at least, I mean, this movie was much better than listening to an hour and a half of stuff you already knew.
It was a significantly better way to spend 90 minutes. And I'm not saying it disappointed me like womp womp. It was more, I have a lot of nostalgia for this movie. It is based on my childhood toys, but I also knew it was not very good. I knew it wasn't very good as a kid, but I still enjoyed watching it. And in many ways, I don't think I could appreciate Frank Langella's performance quite as much as a child.
No, I mean, who could tell it was even him, because he's unrecognizable under all his
the makeup is amazing.
Skeletor makeup.
We'll talk about that. But Masters of the Universe has some beautiful hidden adult gems in it. So in a way, it actually wasn't that disappointing. So it has nothing to do with the story I just told you that took too long to say. Megan?
Yes, Amber?
Let's get into this by playing a rousing game of which is which, in which I will give you summaries from Metacritic, IMDb, Amazon, and Amber, and you shall tell me which is which.
Okay, I'm ready.
Are you, though?
No.
Oh, okay.
Let's do this.
The heroic warrior He-Man battles against the evil Lord Skeletor and his armies of darkness for control of Castle Grayskull.
Okay. Not exactly what the movie was about, but okay, short and to the point.
Warrior He-Man and his sidekicks seek a cosmic key to free a sorceress from Skeletor.
Okay, that's actually more on target, okay.
Yeah, I mean, the first one, they do battle him and kind of his armies, but they don't... I guess it is kind of ultimately for control of the castle, but...
But, so on a meta level, that is what it's about. On what the movie is actually doing, very little of it is Grayskull and battling armies and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. And for the second one, they do seek a cosmic key to free a sorceress from Skeletor, but half the time they actually have the key.
Right.
And they're just kind of incapable of using it or I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. 3. The heroic warrior He-Man battles against Lord Skeletor and his armies of darkness for control of Castle Grayskull.
Okay.
And the final one. Mighty warrior He-Man must do battle with Skeletor and his many dark minions to save the universe, and more importantly, his own heart, from the toxic obsession of this somewhat skeletal Lord of Loneliness.
Oh. Yeah, that's beautiful.
Megan!
Yes, Amber?
Do tell me, which is which?
Amazon, IMDb, Metacritic, Amber.
No,
oh my.
IMDb, Amazon, Metacritic, Amber.
IMDb, Amazon, Metacritic. Okay.
Because IMDb and Metacritic are the ones that cheat off of each other.
I always fucking forget. I cannot keep that in my brain.
And Amazon was the one you said was the more accurate one. So it was a very confusing round.
Yeah.
Terribly sorry.
Why can't I... Anyway, one would think that would be a giveaway for me, but the good news, dear listeners, is that I can't keep things like that in my brain. So it's always yeah. Mm-hmm.
Lucky for us, every day is a new day with Megan.
Yeah. What?
To the Critics' Corner!
Okay. Amber, what did Metacritic have to say?
Ooh, that is a sweet 35 from the critics and a 44 from users.
Wow, that's stellar compared to the 22 for critics and 41 for the audience score on Rotten Tomatoes.
Okay. Mm-hmm. What'd they have to say, Megan?
Well, Amber, they didn't like it. Okay, so they didn't like Dolph Lundgren.
Aww.
I know, which seems kind of rude. They really liked, at least a lot of folks really liked, the superb villainy of Frank Langella, who plays Skeletor. Apparently, without him, Masters of the Universe would be as barren as an asteroid.
Oh, okay. A lot of asteroids in this movie and space. So good. There was no space.
So good on you.
Yeah. In this.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they call it a misfire, and actually misfire comes up a couple different times. And then, of course, they also brought it back to Rambo because Dolph Lundgren was in Rambo, and said that this hurt Dolph Lundgren's chances of being in any more Rambo-type movies. Anyway, you know how critics do, Amber. They like to relate it to the relevant things at hand. Like comparing it to the other movies that the people have been in and not really talking about the movie itself.
Fair. A lot of people reference the fact that it is a movie based on a line of toys, which I think immediately lowers it 20 points because it's based on fucking toys.
Yeah.
This one, I am curious if this is true. From William Thomas at Empire. The first film to be based on a line of toys. This might not be the last, but it'd take something awful to replace it as the worst. Is it the first film based on a line of toys?
Huh. And here's something interesting. It is based on the toys and not the cartoon.
Yes, this has nothing to do with the cartoon other than the characters are the same.
Yep, which is kind of an interesting, interesting.
Because I grew up with the cartoon, and I didn't know and the cartoon is named He-Man, and I think maybe He-Man and the Masters of the Universe or some such, but this movie is called Masters of the Universe, which always confused the crap out of me because as a kid I assumed it was called He-Man.
Right.
It's tough to find in the video store.
Yeah, you gotta go to the M, not the H, Amber.
Very confusing to my young brain.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, this movie came out in 1987, so
it's not really relevant, Amber.
Is old.
Yes, it is.
And a lot of comparisons are made to, obviously, Star Wars. This movie is...
Yes.
It's as though the filmmakers said, what are the kids really into these days? Oh, Star Wars? Well, let's just throw some Star Wars into He-Man. So we've got laser blasters.
He is.
He-Man, he wields a giant sword.
Yes.
But now he also has a blaster. And so do all the bad guys, who weirdly are dressed in black... Sort of if Darth Vader met a stormtrooper, shiny plastic armor.
Yeah, and they're clearly people inside, but whenever they get shot or sworded, sparks fly out of them, meaning that they are robots. Because, of course, just optically, you don't want He-Man killing people. So, which was actually Mattel said, you will not do this thing. So all of the kind of the stormtrooper-esque folks here are all robots.
I want my toys to be mass murderers. They made a mistake if they wanted to sell more He-Man to me. I don't care. He's not very heroic if he doesn't at least have a 20-person body count.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very good point, Amber.
I want some Batman bullshit. He-Man just keeps killing robots and leaving the real bad guys alive to go and torment future people. That's bad. I don't want a Batman figurine. I want a Punisher. I want a Slaughterhouse.
Oh, boy.
I want somebody who always double taps his enemies for the sake of good.
Yeah, that's a beautiful sentiment, Amber, and I couldn't agree more.
Deadpool leaves nobody on the board.
No, not at all. He knows better. He knows better because Deadpool can come back time after time. He knows he needs to end the bloodline, Amber.
End that bloodline. It only leads to problems if you try and lock them. Come on. You kill the robots, but not the guy who makes them? Come on, He-Man. Although he did murder at the end. I mean, you could say it was Gravity, but was it?
Okay, no, we'll get to that.
Okay, so critics did not enjoy it, obviously. Nope. It's not a great movie. Some people said that the effects look great. A lot of people said they did not look great. Clear Star Wars ripoff. Kids at play have come up with better plots and more spectacular effects, provided their mothers let them play with matches. Hell yeah, Rita Kempley at the Washington Post.
Awesome. That's awesome. Lovely.
That might be one of my favorite blurbs ever.
Yeah, it's very good.
Like a dunk blurb. That was good. That was good, Rita. Yeah, it wasn't a good movie. It was a kid's movie based on toys that was trying to rip off better stuff to make itself look glitzier. And the plot is kind of a what situation?
Yeah, and there's reasons for this. So the plot, most of it takes place on Earth. And the reason for that is budget. Apparently this studio either was going to do a little known movie called Spider-Man, or they could do Masters of the Universe and Superman 4, The Search for Peace, or something like that.
Cool.
And they decided to split their budget and make those two movies rather than this unknown superhero, I think, called Spider-Man. So I really feel like they made the right decision.
100%. Everybody remembers that classic Superman 4.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, Masters of the Universe. So, critics obviously got this one wrong. Silly billies. This is a masterpiece. I think let's talk about this movie.
Yeah.
So, it spends most of its time on Earth. We start in space. Where is what's the name of the
Eternia, Amber?
Eternia and Castle Grayskull on Eternia, which everybody knows is ruled over by a sorceress who gave He-Man special powers and a special sword.
It's true. And they actually had to fight really hard for the scenes that take place at the essentially, mostly at the beginning, at the end, in Grayskull. They had to fight to make Grayskull, essentially.
That makes sense.
Again,
that's a whole
budget.
Fancy set with glowing doodads. We also don't... There is no establishment of the relationship between He-Man and the Sorceress. You just know that it starts with Skeletor just laying claim to Eternia. He's strolling into the throne room and at Castle Grayskull. The Sorceress already captured in a force field, and we are informed by Evil Lyn as is Frank Lang. I can't... Sorry. I'm all over the place because I'm so overwhelmed by the majesty of this. We have Frank Langella striding up in this big black cloak, these gloves with little spiny tips on them, this big scepter, essentially, that he doesn't need, but he uses to emphasize every third step. And he's sweeping up and sitting on this throne. Report, Evil Lyn. Speak! Doesn't even give her a chance to actually report to him before he orders her to speak. It's great.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, hey, we've sealed the gates to the city. Castle is secure. We're closing in on some sort of Venturian. We don't know what that is. And he's like, I don't care. I don't care about any of that.
Why did you ask me to report?
I don't care about... Yes, whatever. What about He-Man? What about He-Man? I want him kneeling at my feet, which he almost whispers to himself. Like, he doesn't... Yeah. He's not saying, what about He-Man? I want him kneeling at my feet. I don't care about securing the city. I don't care we have the whole planet. I want He-Man. And he's still leading the rebel forces. But, like, you can tell rebel forces are on the rope. Right. I mean, this shit is wrapped up. He's already got the castle. Yeah. He's already got the sorceress. But we don't know anything about He-Man other than he's a big dude with a sword and a gun, wearing a leather diaper and a big red cloak.
Yep.
And that's it. He cares about the sorceress. He's got two people with him, Teela and Man-at-Arms.
Yes.
And they're also part of the rebel force. But in the cartoon, there's like a relationship between He-Man and the sorceress. And she's like bequeathed him powers that come through the sword. And when he shouts, I have the power, he transforms a bit.
Right.
And I think isn't he like a scrawny gawky dude until he transforms?
Maybe.
It's been so long. It wasn't a great cartoon. None of that is established. It's just Skeletor already has conquered. He-Man is leading rebel forces, but it doesn't really matter. It's all over but for the kneeling. And then you find out that he was able to do this because of a cosmic key that was made by a Ventrexian. And then He-Man stumbles on the Ventrexian, and he's got another key. And they're going to use the key to free the sorceress from the force field. But then they can't. And so they use the key to travel randomly somewhere else to save themselves from Skeletor's overwhelming forces. And then they, of course, wind up on Earth and get all tangled up with Courtney Cox and her boyfriend.
Yes. Her boyfriend, she's Julie, and Kevin?
Oh, Kevin. Yes. We'll talk about Kevin. Robert Duncan McNeil.
Thank you. Yes. Mm-hmm.
And that's when the movie really starts. When we're on Earth, they lose the key in transit, so they have to find it again, and then they have to find the correct pattern of tones, because it's a tonal key. It's like a synthesizer, and it makes pretty lights when you turn it on. Kevin is the one who finds the key, which is how everybody gets all mixed up with each other. And hilarity ensues. Mercenaries are sent after them. People get shot, but all those people are robots, so we don't care. And ultimately, it's a love story, like kind of a toxic abuser love story. What's that thing on Netflix that everybody loves? You?
Oh, yeah. I think yes.
Yeah. Like, imagine Skeletor is the guy in that.
Ah, okay.
And He-Man is whatever woman he's obsessing about. I haven't seen it. I just know that I think that's the plot.
Yeah, interesting. So you're saying that the toxic relationship is Skeletor and He-Man. I was also thinking about the toxic relationship between Julie and Kevin.
Oh, geez, I'm sorry. I had glossed over that there are two toxic relationships. Megan, tell me about Julie.
Amber, Julie just had a tragedy in her life. Both of her parents died in their private plane that her dad was driving, flying, piloting. Those are the words. And so Julie she's distraught about this. So she's going to leave town. She needs to take some time, find herself. She's just suffered this huge loss and now needs a little bit of time. And that means that she's going to leave her boyfriend, Kevin. And we're introduced when she's at work at this diner thing that with her friends saying oh, you can't leave Kevin. Kevin's the best. And she's like, I gotta. I need time. I need some me time.
That seems really, really healthy. How old is she?
Is she 18 or something?
Yeah. I feel like it's
she's
her
just
senior
out of
year.
high school.
So they're teenagers. They're high school sweethearts, and her parents just died, and she needs a change of scenery. And her friends are telling her... Sorry, she works at a diner, and her parents had a private plane?
Yeah, it's a little confusing. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, good for her. Getting her own, money and job.
Gotta say, the life insurance was probably pretty good. She's probably
set
up
for a while. Doing okay.
But
that's why she can leave. Amber. She's got
a villa. Millions. She's going to.
Yeah. I've got to go find myself somewhere in France.
Amalfi Coast. Mm-hmm. So Kevin is probably cool. If he loves her, then he's probably understanding. But she's gone through a really, really tough time. She doesn't want to be in the house that her parents lived in. She needs to do something different. He's probably very, very supportive.
That would make sense, except that when we see Kevin, she talks about how her flight leaves early the next morning, and he tries to convince her to take a later flight. And she says, essentially, stop asking me that question. You've asked me that 400 times before. Please, Kevin.
We've talked about this. We've
talked about this.
But I just want you to stay. It's okay. So this is your last night together with the woman you love. How are you going to spend that evening, Kev?
Well, Kevin is in a band, Amber, and so he's got sound check for their prom. Was it their prom or something?
I believe it was. I believe it was the prom. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So at least he brings her to the cemetery first to say goodbye to her parents. Where he then finds that the cosmic key. And is immediately enamored of it because it's
musical.
Makes music noises.
Yeah.
And then, he brings her to do sound check. So it's just him with his synthesizers and her sitting around listening to him do sound check. A thing that she makes clear she's done before.
She's done so many times. She is so fucking bored. She's checking out the prom decorations. She's barely paying attention to him. And then he decides... Enough with his sound check. He touched the cosmic key and it made lights and stuff. So he's gonna get it evaluated by the music shop that he knows. So he leaves her. He just
what? Why doesn't she get to come to the next pointless errand?
She has to guard his stuff.
What the shit is this kid? Hey, baby, can't you stay? I love you. Okay, now watch me do sound check, and then I'm just going to leave you here for a few hours because I found this cool toy that I'm more interested in.
And I don't want my drum set to get taken from the school, which is closed. I don't know.
Good guy, Kevin.
Yeah, pretty great.
But when the shit hits the fan, you know, she gets attacked by mercenaries because obviously Skeletor can use the key that he has to check when the other key is activated. So when Kevin starts messing around with it, he's like, okay, we've pinpointed it. Send the scary mercenaries, not the whole force because it could be a trap, just some scary mercenaries. And scary mercenaries, they don't find Kevin in the key because he left, but they do find Julie.
Yeah.
So she
gets he essentially set up a beacon like, here, come over here, and then he
didn't
bounced.
know.
No, he didn't know, but that is effectively what he did.
Yeah, that's essentially what happened. Julie is just terrorized. But thankfully, He-Man and his friends show up and save her. And they find out that she knows where the key is. So then she takes him to Kevin. But, oh man, Kevin keeps turning that fucking key on. So then some other people find him and put a mind control collar on him. And he tells them everything about where the key is because he doesn't have it anymore. A cop took it. Because the school gets burned down.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
But the mercenaries burned down the high school.
Yeah, you send Skeletor's mercenary troops in. Of course they're going to, burn down the place.
Yeah, nobody dies, of course, because this is a kid's movie based on toys that we want to sell. But they do fucking burn the high school to the goddamn ground and brutalize a coach who happens to be there.
Yes.
Because Beastman cannot keep his shit together.
Oh, Beastman, so Skeletor specifically says, Amber, that he wants He-Man brought back alive. We can't kill He-Man or he'll be a martyr. We need to bring him in and he needs to, he needs to kneel at my feet. That's what he wants.
Oh, that's all he wants. Amber. He desperately needs He-Man to kneel at his feet. But this is... Beastman, every time they encounter somebody that everybody's like, hey, we need to ask them questions, Beastman just beats the shit out of them until somebody pulls him off. I'm like, fuck, we need to talk to him!
Yeah, exactly. If this wasn't a kid's movie, he would have eaten them.
Oh, yeah.
Just
would have ripped their face off with his teeth. So yeah, they hunt down Kevin, and Kevin doesn't have the key anymore. A cop has the key because because it's not Kevin's. Kevin found it in a fucking cemetery.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And Kevin's out. Like, as soon as, he gets an option, he's like, I'm not helping with this shit. Like, I don't know what this is.
It is amazing.
Yeah, he is so fucking out.
I think so he still has the control collar on when they find him. And they're like, oh, Kevin, where's the key? He's like, I don't have it. And Evil Lynn came and she asked me all these questions. He's like, well, where is the key? Oh, the cop took it. He took it to the music store to have it appraised. And as soon as the collar comes off, like, okay, can you take us to the music store? Julie's like, yes, of course. Kevin's like, fuck no. I don't want any part of this. This shit's dangerous. He did just get beaten up by Beastman, but Julie had all four of them chasing her, trying to stab her with swords, shooting lasers at her, watch the cop or the coach get beat up and barely escaped with her life. Well, He-Man's the only reason she did, so she's been through some shit too. And her response is, yes, of course, I'll help you. Kevin is out. Kevin is trying to convince her to be out. Kevin is a little bit selfish. And, I'm not going to call him a coward because, this is a dangerous situation. There's lasers and monsters.
Cosmic forces. I can see why one would want to be out.
Yes, that makes healthy sense. It's just... the fact that Julie is in and has already seen the worst of it. She's seen what's happening. She gets it. But says, yes, that's her choice, Kevin.
Yeah. Come on, Kevin. Stop trying to control Julie.
Stop trying to control Julie, you toxic. I almost called him a coward. I'm trying not to judge like that. I would want to be out too.
Yeah.
He-Man, Teela, Master-at-Arms, and Gwildor? Is that the name of the keymaker?
Yeah, Gwildor. Mm-hmm.
They're traveling around Earth together, trying to find the key, trying to make the key work. Skeletor's forces come for them in the music store. There's a whole showdown. And Teela is left to guard Julie and Kevin and Gwildor. And the cop, he's not happy. He's not having it. They have to take his gun away from him.
Yep.
So when shit's getting real up front in the store, Teela decides it's time to go up. It's time to do her work. You can't just leave it to He-Man and Master of Arms. So she's got a gun. We have the cop, who's being a dick and needs to be held at bay because he's going to make some bad moves. We have Kevin, the guy who does not want to be there. And we have Julie, badass lady, who is totally ready to do what needs to be done. And of course, Tila herself, badass lady, who's often making reference to the fact that she is, the only woman fighting and a badass lady. Who does she give the gun to?
Well, Julie, of course.
Nope, it's Kevin.
But Kevin's out. Kevin has stated his preference for leaving.
She gives the gun to the man.
She gives the gun to Kevin. At least Tila doesn't go off spouting feminist statements.
No. She definitely goes out there, shoots a bunch of guys to get them off He-Man and Man-at-Arms back, and then looks directly at the camera and says, "Woman at Arms."
Yeah, great.
Because they need a woman's touch out there. I think she actually says, it seems like you need a woman's touch out here, and then does some good fancy shooting, and then looks directly at the camera. And pats itself on the back for having a woman do stuff.
Yeah.
After, without thought, giving the gun to the guy that super doesn't want to be there.
And they've known less long, and in the grand scheme of things, they've known Julie for twice as long, and she's shown interest in helping versus Kevin, who, was out right away.
But that's neither here nor there, Megan, because the most important part of this movie is Skeletor.
Ah, Skeletor.
Skeletor. Frank Langella's Shakespearean.
Quite literally. There are several lines in this movie that are directly out of Shakespeare.
That does not surprise me. It is epic Shakespearean performance. He's serving me heartsick. He's serving me lonely. He's serving me abusive. But at the core of that, he wants control. He wants control of the object of his love. His obsession is one born of loneliness. And I know this because he fucking says he's lonely repeatedly.
Yes. And very importantly, I have read, IMDb tells me that all of those statements literally came up by Frank Langella himself.
Oh, absolutely.
Not in the script.
No.
This is just what he brought.
Please, I listened to the rest of that script, and then I listened to Skeletor, and Skeletor is all Langella. Langella wrote Skeletor. There's no way he didn't. It is shoot here, get this. When Skeletor comes on screen, I must possess all, or I possess nothing. Or when the sorceress tells him, it's not too late to stop this madness. And he responds, madness? I demand the destitution, shame, and loneliness of scorn. It is my destiny. It is my right. Nothing will deter me from it.
Wow.
What does that even mean?
I don't know. I couldn't tell you, but it's lovely.
Our lifelong battle is ending at last in the only way it could. He is obsessed with getting He-Man. It's not, let's crush the rebellion. And he does mention that if He-Man dies, as you said, he becomes a martyr. But if he kneels on his feet before me and then I kill him, he's weakened. It's fine. It'll crush the spirit of the people. But that never really seems to be his concern. It's, okay, cool. We've crushed everything and I've got the sorceress and, I'm going to, at moonrise, the eye of the universe will open and all of its power will flow into me. Whatever that means. He also doesn't explain what he's then going to do with that power, but if they don't get there in time, he'll kill the sorceress and become, I guess, the master of the universe.
Essentially a god, yes.
So the goal, I guess, is to stop that from happening. And while he is excited about becoming the master of the universe and gaining all the power, he does manage to capture He-Man. And He-Man comes with him peacefully because when Skeletor goes to Earth, it's overwhelming force. And he bargains with his friends. He's like, all right, if you leave my friends alive and you abandon them on Earth, I will come with you willingly. So he's chained there. And old Skeletor really wants to talk to him. He really wants to talk to him. He wants him to kneel. He really wants him to kneel in chains before him. Very excited about that. But
yes,
because he won't, he's going to have him whipped. He still won't kneel. He still wants to talk some more. So he's like, hey, where is your strength? Where is it gone? Look at your sorceress, an old crone, withering, dying. Are you ready to kneel now, proud warrior? Hey, I have your old boo over here, and you had such a great relationship, but she's going to die now. So why won't you turn to me? And he still won't. And then the iris opens, and he gets all the universe's power, and he's really, he's thrilled. He's like, hey, what of what consequence are you now?
I am a god. I am unto a god.
I am one with the universe. Kneel before your master. He still won't do it. Fool! How can you not? You're not even my equal anymore. I am more than man, more than life. I am a god. And he gives himself a shiny costume upgrade. Mm-hmm. And he basically just said, you don't matter anymore.
Yep.
I don't have to care. I am literally a god. And then he immediately says, why won't you kneel?
I care
I
so
still really
much.
need you to kneel. I am a god and you don't matter, but please, could you just kneel? Huh. And he won't.
Nope.
So then, where are your friends now? Tell me about the loneliness of good, He-Man. Is it equal to the loneliness of evil? And
Yeah, that's a very good line, by the way. Totally Frank's line.
So
it's
good.
Really good.
He's proclaimed himself a god, said that He-Man doesn't matter anymore, but he still won't kneel. And he said, come on, bro, you're all alone. And I'm surrounded by my minions. I have all the power of the universe inside of me, but I'm alone too. Mm-hmm. Shouldn't we, don't you think? And then He-Man's friends show up.
Yep.
God damn it. They were just about to connect. He'd stripped him of all of his friends. He'd isolated him. He'd whipped him a bunch. He'd put him in chains. He was just about to seal the deal.
Yeah. Friends ruin everything, Amber.
Friends ruin everything in an abuser relationship. The key is of always.
Mm-hmm. Always isolation.
Always isolation.
For sure.
But really, Megan, it was never about the sorceress. She was just standing between him and He-Man. It was kind of never about the power of the universe.
It wasn't even about, it wasn't even becoming unto a god, Amber.
He really needed He-Man sweaty in that leather diaper, in chains.
Yes.
On his knees before him.
Yeah.
Because loneliness. Mm-hmm. Goddamn, Langella.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
That's good. That's some good stuff.
Yeah.
I couldn't appreciate that
really good.
as a 6-year-old. I super couldn't, but I do now. Nope. The rest of this movie is weird nonsense. He-Man is a cipher? Does that work? There's nothing there.
There's virtually nothing to He-Man except for, like, he looks a lot like the toy.
He does. He certainly does.
As close as one could get to a toy.
Yep, but a grown man, which made me realize how off-putting the toy actually is.
Sure,
and
absolutely.
Seeing it in real life, I realized, oh dear.
Yeah, he's got, like... Although they softened it for the movie, for sure. But He-Man himself has, like, this page boy haircut, which is just, like, on a very large man. It's very...
it's more of a mullet.
Dichotomy's hard.
More of a mullet in the movie.
Yeah, no, He-Man doesn't... He's a fighter, Amber, and he doesn't have much to say about anything other than that.
Tila and Man-at-Arms are kind of whatever. Gwilder's clearly meant to be comic relief.
Yes, played by Billy Barty. So Gwildor and essentially, I mean, here's one thing. Dolph Lundgren got off really easy by wearing his leather diaper and the sword. Apparently, Gwildor and and Skeletor and all the baddies, their costumes all weighed like 50 plus pounds.
Oh yeah, those things were elaborate.
And it's at the time where I think they were just making them out of metal, not actual
Oh yeah.
So yeah, they've actually talked about Evil Lynn, who's played by Meg Foster, has talked about she couldn't sit down. She had bruises on her hip bones because of this metal bustier corset thing that she was wearing, and couldn't she said it actually lended to her performance as being kind of had to be
stiff,
stand up as straight as possible, stiff, and just yeah.
It was very impressive. The costuming and the makeup. Langella's Skeletor face, really impressive.
really good. Yeah.
And there's the Beast Man, and there's a lizard guy, or Sauron, whatever.
Yep.
Very impressive makeup stuff.
Sure.
Visuals were good outside of the special effects. But yeah, the story is weird and nonsensical. The relationships are uncomfortable. And Julie, you had said that you remembered the moral of the story being Julie being free at the end of
Very
it.
different. Right. Because like, and this struck me, and this is what I thought when we first, like, the first time you're introduced to Kevin, again, he says that line about like, can't you stay longer? And she's like, we've been over this. No. And like, in my mind, I was like, oh yeah, that's right. Because she needs to learn to be, to give Kevin up. And like, the whole point of this is her like getting away from this like toxic relationship. No. No. What happens at the actual end is that so she and Kevin are sent home from Eternia, they're actually sent back in time enough that Julie's able to stop her parents from going on that fateful plane ride. So what you in fact do is you take away all of what Julie experienced, which, great. She was sad her parents were dead. I'm glad they're back. But, like, you're now, like, she just hits reset with Kevin. And, like, you get rid of her parents being dead, Amber, and she's happy as pie with Kevin.
Oh, yeah. And they were clearly setting that up when Skeletor injures her and she's dying, and the only person who can heal her is the sorceress. So they have to fix the key and get her back to Eternia.
Right.
I mean, which they were going to do anyway, because Skeletor had He-Man and was going to become a god, but neither here nor there. I guess it explained why the two humans were still with them as laser fire was happening. But,
because they should have been long gone.
But as he's holding her and she's dying, they're both proclaiming their love for each other. I'm like, oh, okay. So this is just forever, I guess.
Yeah, we're just going to,
You could do better than Kevin and Julie.
Really can.
So the moral of the story really is... You belong with your high school sweetheart who doesn't understand your needs and leaves you to do sound check.
Status quo.
And also Skeletor gets dropped off of a walkway that goes into an endless pit that is just in the middle of Castle Grayskull for some reason, right in the throne room.
Yeah, he was using lightning powers to attack. And then he gets thrown into a
but
pit.
See, what happened was, Megan, that He-Man got his sword back that was apparently important in some way, but we don't understand how.
No, we don't ever know why, yes.
And then he picked it up and he said, I have the power, because that's what he does in the cartoons, and that's part of the toy thing. And then I guess he just did have the power, because the god Skeletor zapped him with the lightning, but then the sword stopped the lightning, and then it sort of transformed him from less of a god and more into just a guy who falls off things.
Yeah.
Because magic sword.
Yeah.
Great film. Quality film.
Apparently, Amber, we didn't watch to the very end. There's a post-credits scene.
There is.
Do you remember this?
I do. Yeah. There's water at the bottom of that pit.
Yeah, there's red water, and he comes up out of it and says, I'll be back.
I'll be back. Yeah. I do remember that. So no one really dies.
No one dies, yeah.
And damn it, He-Man, Batman's the situation hard. Because Skeletor will be back. I mean, not in any other movies. But we can imagine, because Skeletor is obsessed with He-Man and him kneeling.
Of course. Yeah.
It's beautiful. That movie is weird, and we spent a very long time talking about it.
Yeah, do you think if He-Man just kneeled, Skeletor would be like, whew, okay.
That's all I needed.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to just go take a break. I just needed that. So, Amber, on the rock scale, what would you rate this movie? Regrettable, outstanding, Crazeballs, K, or solid?
This amazingly nuanced and perfect scale for every situation. Definitely nails this one this time. Come for the nostalgia, stay for the Shakespearean tragedy of the villain, but also not a good movie. So it's not really K. It's not really... Well, Frank Langella is Crazeballs, and the plot in and of itself is conceptually Crazeballs, but not necessarily Crazeballs in a fun way so much as there's that. Don't enjoy the lady characters that much. I mean, Tila's fine. She doesn't like eating meat, so I really responded to that as a kid. I was like, oh, I don't like eating meat either. It is disgusting that we rip flesh off of bones. Thank you, Tila.
Yeah.
But then she gives the gun to Dum Dum Kevin. And then immediately after that, Julie's just like, okay, dead mom, I'm sure it's you, and for some reason you happen to require the mystical key that we happen to have come into contact with. Yes, I will betray everything and immediately give it to you. You weren't my mom? Oh, now I'm dying.
Yeah.
So it's not... I watched it as a kid. I knew it was bad as a kid, but it was a movie I was allowed to watch, and it was based on toys that I liked, and fuck me, Mattel did the thing they were trying to do. They got me. But they didn't keep me, okay?
Yeah. Okay.
But you know who did?
Who's that?
Skeletor.
Yeah, Skeletor's pretty great.
And honestly, a little bit Evelyn, She drew me in. She had her own pathos going on.
And I was reading that Meg Foster, the actress, actually had a whole plot in her head of the Lady Macbeth character, for her character.
That makes sense. She's the right hand of a powerful man. She's nothing but supportive, but ultimately, he's just using her. And in the end, she fucks the fuck out of there. It's like, you know what? I can see this going down. He literally has the power of the universe, and he's still obsessed with He-Man. He doesn't even see me.
Yeah.
And he's gonna go. This is gonna be his downfall. He's literally unto a god, and he's gonna get. I'm out. Get my shit. Get my shit. You're all my people now. We're going.
Yeah.
Smartest character there.
For sure.
I hope when he works his way out of that sludge and comes crawling back to Evelyn kicks him in the face and says, "Nope." That's what I want. That would make this movie good. I like the movie in that actor's head better than. So this movie's not good. I don't recommend watching it, except to just drink in the villains.
Yeah, agreed.
Good stuff. Megan, do you have a Nisa story?
So Amber, Maddie has recently been having some she was a little bit sick. Which is what she says. And she has been having some trouble sleeping, and so she woke up from a nap, real mad. And I was talking to her later about it and asking her, like, hey, sometimes when you wake up, it's you're real sad. Is there something that would make you feel better? And she told me happy things. So, just gotta try harder with happy things, Amber.
She's as bad as you are with direction.
Yeah, pretty much.
What do you want? I don't know. What do you want? Well, you don't have a preference? Just something good.
Yeah, just... yeah, don't let me down. Just do something I'd like.
Although, in fairness, I would sometimes just send you into the store with, I don't know, surprise me.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean... You don't have a preference either most of the time, which makes it hard.
I do have preferences. I just, usually the things we're choosing between or amongst are things that I already prefer. So I've already kind of selected my top 5. And I feel like at that point my work is done.
Okay, that's good to know.
I'm not just going to hand you happy things. I'm going to say, okay, of these 5 things, anything outside of this, I will stab you in the eyeball. But... among these 5, I'm good. I'm copacetic. I'm so easygoing.
So easygoing.
So not stabby.
Yeah. All right. That makes total sense, Amber. Amber, do you have a recommendation?
Sure. We can do... Wait, do you have one too? Or should we just go for the full nostalgia episode?
Oh, why don't we go for the full nostalgia episode?
Do you remember those other toys you used to play with? Like He-Man. Obviously, loved those toys. Yeah. The cartoon can kind of go fuck itself. I didn't. I liked it in that it was a cartoon I was allowed to watch, and the toys were neat. I have this. I actually have it on my shelf. Skeletor's shark mobile. You remember? Is purple and blue.
Yes.
And the front of it is like a shark's mouth. I don't know why that's on my shelf, but it is.
Sure.
Sorry. So. Other toys, I also happen to have a bingo bag, yes, a bag intended for bingo paraphernalia, filled with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in the basement.
Yay!
The normal stuff, a Leonardo, a Raphael, a disguise Donatello, where he's wearing, a flasher trench coat and has just a human flesh mask
face.
to go over his own turtle beak. I've got a spaceman, Raphael. I've got a swimming Leonardo, a panda guy, 2 bat guys. His name's Wingnut. And he's got, like, his wings, they have little compartments for little weapons. I always like that. I didn't need 2 of them. I got a Casey Jones. He's creepy. A lot of body hair on that figurine, but all of it's flesh colored. So it's just his torso is painted flesh colored, and he's wearing sort of a belly shirt, but it's got hair on it, but it's the same color as the rest of it. So he's just got a hairy 6-pack.
Okay.
It's sort of like worms. It's sort of like he has little worms on his tum-tum.
That's upsetting, yeah.
Great toys. Also, he's wearing a hockey mask. Why did we think that was okay?
Yeah, I don't know.
On that note, a game was recently released, brought to our attention by Danathan. Not that we needed it, okay? Like, if I'd looked on Game Pass and I'd seen Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge, I obviously would have played it.
Obviously.
Did he make sure that we all were aware of it at an opportune moment? Maybe. Fine. I'll give you that, Danathan. But Megan, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge, or I think that's what it's called, has been released on fucking Game Pass. It's a 6-player game. It is so intended for us right here, the childrens of the 80s and the 90s who grew up with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon and who also grew up literally playing the arcade game of, I believe, the same name. It is the same mechanics. You can throw dudes at the screen. You can whap them. You can co-op. But this time, you can play as Casey Jones and April and Splinter, as well as the 4 Turtles. And it's fun co-op silliness. And there's even the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles theme song plays as you open the game straight from the fucking cartoon. It is essentially identical, but updated, but not too updated.
Right. Yep. The graphics still feel really much the same. The animations that they do, it's all very, very much arcade game of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles of the past.
And they have added some really amusing co-op features. It might seem silly, but when you start the game, you select a character, it shows you all of the special moves you can do, including the ones that, like, as you level up the characters as you go, and it unlocks new special abilities. But it shows you how to do things, how to throw people, and how to do the moves. But it also shows you that when you press certain buttons, you can taunt people. And every character has their own taunt. Splinter meditates, and Raphael just laughs. But you can also revive your teammates if they get downed by shoving a piece of pizza in front of their face. And you can high-five each other and share health if the other person's down and you have ample health bar.
Yeah.
So they've added... The first time we played it was really smooth and seamless to do online co-op. The second time we tried it, it was a little bit jankier.
Rougher.
But it's still super duper duper fun and super duper duper nostalgic and just delightful.
It gets chaotic with it's chaotic with one person. It's very chaotic with 5.
So hard to keep track of who you are and where you are, especially when you're one of the turtles. It's it's stupid fun. I highly recommend it. 6 people. How often is there a game where you can play as 6 people cooperatively? It's so just great.
Rare.
So rare. Too rare.
Yeah. Lovely. Well, I agree with this recommendation wholeheartedly.
This has been endorsed by Megan. And thus it is good.
Yes.
Well, we've done a good job here. We talked about a movie that wasn't that good, and the critics agreed that it wasn't that good, but, there are nice parts of it, and also we watched it as kids, and it had to be examined, just in case, because we can't trust the critics. Megan, I'm going to bookend this with that. You can't trust them.
Can't trust them, Amber.
Can't trust them. They're doing this for profit. You can't trust that agenda. We're doing it for free, and thus you can trust what we say. We have the integrity that only poverty can grant you.
Well, Amber, I will wrap this up like I always do by saying to you, my friend Amber, you can eat all the rocks you want in the prison mines. Trapjaw.
What?
Which is a thing that He-Man said to Trapjaw when Tila was about to put him in the Porto prison.
The Porto prison, which is like a porta potty.
Yep. She whips out a portable prison out of her pocketless outfit. That's what the...
Okay.
Say.
So she's essentially wearing what I would assume is a very skin-tight outfit, whips out a portable prison.
Yes.
That apparently is also lousy with rocks.
Yes.
And presumably Trapjaw was complaining about not being able to eat rocks before this for that sick burn to land?
Yeah, that's what I would have to assume. I don't have the pre...
I'm going to eat all of your rocks. Well, I'm going to put you in this portable jail cell that I keep on my person somewhere, don't ask.
And you can eat all the rocks you want.
That seems fine. If what he wants is to eat rocks, then she's honestly helping him. I don't know if captivity is for the best, but maybe it's for his own safety. You know, maybe this is sort of like a witness protection thing. Trapjaw wanted to get away from Skeletor. He was afraid to, because Skeletor always told him, there won't be enough rocks where you go. You want those sweet rocks, Trapjaw? Only I can give them to you. The world isn't filled with rocks, Trapjaw. You only get the rocks that Skeletor gives you, or you will starve from a dearth of rocks. I don't know what dearth means, but I think it's something Skeletor would say.
He would. Well, Frank Langella, yes. Skeletor, yes.
As it turns out, rocks everywhere, including Tila's portable prison, which was definitely in her lady pocket. If you don't have pockets,
oh boy,
you always have one pocket.
Yeah. Delightful. Well, Amber, bye.
What? Lady pocket.
Oh boy.